Hello, everyone. I hope that you can hear me as I'm getting set up here. Uh, Thank you for joining. I need to get my setup here. If you can hear me okay, let me know in the comments. Let me know where you're from. Give this a minute. I know sometimes it takes YouTube a minute or for everyone to connect. So let's make sure that that is happening. In the meantime, I'm trying to make sure I can share my screen. And obviously, I'm not doing a good job because I can't find what I need to find. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Today is Trademark Tuesday. Yay, Trademark Tuesday. And we're going to be talking about, is your brand even protectable? That's not the way I hear it sound in my head. I kind of hear it sound, is your brand even protectable? So that is today's workshop. And I will be going over a lot of fundamentals of trademark, but particularly the search part. So let me focus on getting the screen together because I do like to have slides available, but also I need to know. Oh, there we go. I think I figured it out. I think maybe I figured it out. But let me know where you are. Oh, I think yes, I figured it out. Oh, I did not figure it out because I did not click the share button. There, share. Oh, there we are. We don't have to have that up just yet. But this is what we are going to be talking about today. Let me make sure. And I'm afraid to click away. So I'm hoping that this is being streamed to YouTube correctly. And we are here. Okay. So I wanted to talk more about brand protection and in our in my ecosystem or my world. Make sure I turn my ringer off. In my world of expertise, I guess, of what I like to naturally dig into is intellectual property, but more so how we can build wealth from that and the assets that it could create, but also protecting it. And then also how we build our business and livelihood, especially using AI and automations. So those are things. So through my system, ownership operating system, this what we are talking about today lies in the pillar of ownership of trademarks. And trademarks is a big, trademarks is a big piece, but that's not the only protection mechanism when it comes to protecting your IP. You have there are free things that you can do, but nevertheless, it does take effort, and you do have to put those things in place. I have a whole checklist for that, and then you have contracts. Contracts is a big piece of what is involved in creating or protecting your intellectual property. One of the key things, most recently, I always want to talk about what has happened recently was website terms and conditions. So I just had a conversation with an entrepreneur about their website terms and conditions. And those are contracts. Those are important to have, not just your contract agreements and those things. So those are important to have. And then you have your copyright, and then trademarks, which is what we're going to talk about today. And let me share my screen and we will get into it. How it looks like it's all together. If I am looking like I can't see, that's probably because I can't. I'm trying my best. Usually I have I forgot my external, my webcam. So I am operating off the camera on the laptop. So I have to move a little bit closer or get my glasses to adjust. So if you see me, if I'm going back and forth, that's because I'm trying to make note of my notes and then the slides and read comments at the same time. It's a lot going on, if you have any, if you're watching this live, you can drop your comments now and I will respond to them in this session. If you are watching the recording of this, you can still drop your questions into the comments. And then I will be sharing the email address that you can always send questions to. But if you drop them in the comments, I will definitely send them and I will respond to them accordingly. So let's add this to the stage here. Is your brand even protectable? Let's see, maybe. If you ask an attorney, everything is a maybe. So is your brand name actually legally yours to own, or is it just something that you came up with first? I typically come up with these type of topics based upon the questions that I get in online or in client calls. These type of questions, it kind of, if I start seeing the same question come up, that gives me an idea that I probably should dig deeper into this topic. And we will be going over some things that our team, Trademark Tuesday team, suggested that I include in this slide because it comes up quite a bit. So is it something that you just came up with first, meaning that if you came up with it first, do you actually own it? Short answer, no, but maybe, but we'll get into that. We will definitely get into that. Again, drop your questions in the comments and I will see that we get to those. All right. So I always like to start with where we are, a reality check, and then we get to where we're going. So this is the common mistake I see entrepreneurs make. So here we have, I love a great visual. And AI was very helpful with this. I love a great visual because here we have the building, and in that building, we have most business owners think choosing a name is enough, and it really is not. In this day and age where copycats are around every corner, making it easy to copy things. AI has its good points, but also, like with anything, it has its not so good points. But the illusion is what people see. Just because they see that, it's protected. And what we want to do is make sure that the foundation is in place. And what people don't see, are you infringing on someone else's rights? Or is they infringing on an existing trademark, or are you building on someone else's brand and not necessarily know it? And this will put you in a position to not legally protect your name or have to rebrand and start over. And the thing is that sometimes what happens is we get so deep into our work, providing the services or products that we're providing to the world, that we don't get to the point to understand that the foundation is rocky or lack thereof. So if that is the case, you can discover a conflict maybe too late, and it can force it could be an expensive choice that you have to rebrand, or you risk getting a cease and desist where you just have to stop, and depending on what the circumstances are, you have to stop, rebrand, go into negotiations to try to use something that you don't necessarily have the ownership of. And I don't want that for you. So we're going to find a solution. And that is, it is preventable. You can, I think, be very proactive. It's also more economical to take this proactive step of putting the foundation in place. I know that sometimes the question comes up, or what I think about also as a business owner too, is how do you go about do you get the trademark first, or do you start the business, or vice versa? That is a business decision. you do obviously want to know that what you're creating has monetary economic value, if you're, because that's the point of being in business, that you can generate revenue from it. So what's the point of getting something trademarked if you don't have that in place? That's another question for another day. But I do understand that that is a question, and that is something that I do a lot of strategy or roadmap sessions for with entrepreneurs to determine what that is. And I literally had that conversation today about that. So moving on, how can we get to the next slide? All right. Okay, so is your name actually yours to own? Sometimes it's about asking the right question, but it's the legally right question before you start spending money on branding, which I think I was kind of going down that path. But here's the test that you want. It isn't about whether you made up something or if it's being used locally. This is the question that you want to add. Can you legally own, protect, and enforce it nationwide? Because we are not just living typically in a silo that you're only doing business in your city, in your county, or in your state. More likely than not, you're going to cross state lines, and most entrepreneurs, quite a few, cross international laws. So they cross the seas, and therefore they need additional protections in place in the various countries that they are doing business. As of right now, we are here in the US, so this is where you can protect and enforce your trademark. So I see if you just joined, feel free to say where you are. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comment and I will see them. I will try to answer it as we are coming, as we're going along. Otherwise, just drop it in the comment and I will answer it either at the end or after the webinar. So I was saying that the real question is, can you legally own and protect and enforce? So there are multiple layers here. Can you legally own it? Do you have the mechanisms in place to keep those protections in place? And then you also have to keep in mind that there will be enforcement. There will be enforcement. Did I say that 3 times? No, I said it twice. There will be enforcement. You will have to enforce your rights because people will try to infringe on them. And that's a whole another thing. So this is the question to ask yourself. If you, I will put that, maybe I put that in the comments. So this is the question to ask yourself. So let me make sure, because I can pull this out as a little snippet. This is the real question to ask yourself. Can you legally own, protect, and enforce your trademark or your brand nationwide? That is the real question. This slide is, I think, a bit heavy, but it has to be said. And you can thank Bill from Trademark Tuesday team. Bill for the past couple of weeks said, Tenicia, can you talk about the spectrum? Can you talk about the spectrum? Because we do have to have these conversations. And to give you an example, I'll go through quite a few examples, but literally we have a new Trademark Tuesday client, wants a trademark. And I think as we go through these, the spectrum here, I can't necessarily say who, what their brand is, but they don't fall on the far end of fanciful. It's more descriptive. And then also going through the search process of doing a comprehensive search for the brand, we've discovered that there are other brands that have the similar name, and there will actually be what I am leaning towards, a possibility of a rebrand and a rename. And this is the point of why it's important to have that research report, because now we know what is out in the world to come back to. We know what's out in the world. We come back to that, understanding where the business owner's brand is or where they want it to go, and bring those two together. And how can we address a rebrand or an update on the trademark before production, because this is a product, right? So they have a product coming out and they have not manufactured anything yet, which is good, because if they would have manufactured anything, you might have to, that the cost of that would have been wiped out, or what would have been produced could not be used. So this is what you need to know when it comes to names and the spectrum of distinctiveness. And this is what the trademark, the USPTO, United States Patent and Trademark Office, also looks at. This is what also Trademark Tuesday, my brand, what we look at when we're putting things together for brands. This is what we look at to determine in strategy calls whether or not it makes sense to move forward with an application for trademark, and put it that way. This is plus the bonus up there, and I'll go through that. So let's just go through these really quick. Fanciful marks. This is the strongest marks that you can have is fanciful, and they're just made up words, right? So anything that you made up with no meaning outside of the brand. And we have, examples of the examples we have are like Kodak, Xerox. Those are distinctive, very distinctive, and highly favored by the USPTO. So when we see those fanciful marks, that lends me as an attorney to be more likely to say that that brand, that mark will get approved if we're just looking at that. All right. If we're just looking at that, then we have arbitrary marks. They're strong. They are real words, but with completely unrelated context. For example, Apple for computers, or Tuesday for trademarks. Would be arbitrary marks, which would land towards a more strong likelihood of it getting approved, because you're using it in a different context. People are not going to think that you see Apple and you're going to get apples. All right. Think of Tuesday, you're not going to get trademarks, but Trademark Tuesday would be. It lends to that other end. All right. Then we have suggestive marks. So this is good. They're good. It kind of, sometimes it hints at what you do without describing it directly. And a good one for that is Netflix. So it suggests streaming because it has a net, and then the flicks is movies. So they kind of brought those together. So it's suggestive, but it's at the same time very unique for what they do. So that would be a more suggestive marks. Here is where the next ones, it gets kind of risky and starts to get very weak, is descriptive marks. It just describes the product or service. That will be very hard to protect unless we can prove that there is like a very exclusive like brand association to it. That the brand has been out there, and the brand, and it's such an association that people connect those words to that brand. So a brand, it could be like fast and printing. That's kind of descriptive. It would be very hard to protect. So I hope that let me know if that makes sense to you. Then it's generic. That's not going to get it. What's going to happen is, even if you try to do it, you would have to disclaim, meaning you have no rights to it. So I literally had a client who did their own application for a trademark, who came to us to go through the office action. It's like every word was disclaimed. So what's the point of the trademark if everything it was disclaimed versus if we would have had this conversation ahead of time, we would have gone through the spectrum here of generic, descriptive, suggestive, arbitrary, and fanciful to say, I could tell you ahead of time that that is very generic is not highly unlikely that this will get approved based upon that. And words like the bakery, you will not be able, besides it being generic, it doesn't say, and it's just common. There are bakeries everywhere. Everything has a bakery in it. So it's very generic. So I also added on here another level of lens that I look through as I am talking with brands, and that is the RED framework, and that is relevant, exclusive, and distinct. So there's two ways that I look at this. So I look through the lens of me as an IP attorney, and then also through the lens as a business owner with the RED framework. As an IP attorney, I am looking for brands that are relevant to the industry or the environment or the service, the value that they're trying to put out into the world. Does this provide value to the world? Is it exclusive? Is it something that only can be gained from this particular brand? What have they made it that this, even if it's one unique feature that makes it exclusively to them? And then distinct. How does it stand out? Is it something about the brand that makes it stand out? Those things have me excited to support a brand like that. That they found their sweet spot, and this is what they're going in for. Now, if they don't necessarily have that yet, as a brand, you look through the lens as the business owner. And excuse me, let me get a drink. Okay, water break. Water break over. Now, if you're looking through the RED framework as a business owner, let me stop the share here because I want to get this. Okay, so if you're looking through the brand, the RED framework as the business owner, relevant, exclusive, distinct. These are the areas that you want to look into and grow in. This is how you set yourself apart from other brands. And also you make your trademark application that much more stronger. What are you putting out into the world that is relevant? What innovative, that people can grasp onto, that people find value in? How is it exclusive? When people come to you, they can only get it from you. What are you doing to make this exclusively yours that shows out that this is only I or my product or service can provide this unique set of services or products? The other distinct. What stands out? What stands out in your brand that makes it distinct for you? So let's use my brand, for example, Trademark Tuesday. Today is Trademark Tuesday. How do I know it's relevant? Not just because people have told me so. Yes, people have told me so. It was relevant, first of all, internally, because that's literally what we do every Tuesday. We review our clients' trademarks. It was just something that we did internally. But also what happens is that because we were doing that internally, what was happening exclusively is that I was reaching out to clients. I do reach out to clients. We reach out to clients, and then sometimes it most likely happens on a Tuesday. And what came back to me was clients were calling back in after we left a message. They would call back, or they would call back later. This happened quite a few times where clients would call back, say, "Oh, I know today's Trademark Tuesday, so I had a question." Because today, and then eventually I said, well, that is a real thing, because now they're calling back asking or saying, today is Trademark Tuesday. Let me ask my question because today is Tuesday. And I know you're looking at this. And what makes it distinct is, I think what makes it distinct, and coming from what other people say, is it sticks with them. When I talk about Trademark Tuesday, it sticks with them. So taking that framework on what is relevant to the market, to your market, are you bringing something to the market that is relevant for the people or the environment that you want to serve, the population, and then exclusive. If it's exclusive to you, what you're providing is exclusive, and then what makes it distinct. All right, so I hope that explains that. Again, you can provide, let's see, we go to the next slide here, and we are talking about, danger zones. Danger zones. The primary reason, so this, I think, what the primary reasons for applications to fail. And the number one reason why you want to do your comprehensive or your search beforehand is because of these failings that could happen. And I'm going to say something because I'm really proud of this, this fact of one of the most common rejection is likelihood of confusion. So likelihood of confusion is one of the most common rejections. But, and this is another thing that I'm really proud of, is that our current, and this might not always be the case, but right now, the likelihood of confusion of all 100% of our trademark clients currently, we do not have any likelihood of confusion of either they get pushed through to registration, and if we do get office actions, we do not have likelihood of confusion. And why is that the case? We don't have likelihood of confusion. I attributed that to the great comprehensive searches that we do. We do the searches so we know those trademarks there are no other marks out there. That is not always a guarantee, but we put a lot of time and energy into doing the search thoroughly, so we don't have that number one thing that come about. So that is the one thing that we have to do. So mere descriptive. Let's move on to the other reason that it could be rejected. Descriptiveness. That it may, and I think that goes back to the other slide. Descriptiveness has to do with here. Remember I said about descriptiveness being too weak, that's too descriptive. That is another reason why a mark would get rejected. So let me go back here. Did it change? There we go. That is another reason why would get rejected. So then often, other things that may be overlooked, geographic or surname marks. That requires that you look beyond your geographic area. Sometimes what happens if we do a search and we're just looking in our current area and not broadly enough, that it could get kicked out, or your application could get rejected because of that. And then also keeping in mind that surnames could come up in this search. I mean, in the remarks from the USPTO. All right. So here is another thing. I don't think there's nothing wrong with doing your own search, right? What I want to do here is make sure you have information. I do believe that if at all, of course, I would say our team can support you in doing that. Is that the end? No, but I would say if you're not doing this every day, then lend it to the professionals. That's what I would say. If you are not in the business of doing trademark research or comprehensive searches, then I would say lend it to the professionals. All right. So the search, let's see, the false safety net. Here we go. A quick search can be a false sense of security. So this is more than just a Google search. And these are all the things that you want to, you can't just rely on the Google search, even the domain availability, just because you have the domain. Those of you don't know, this is a let me go off. Just because you own the domain does not mean that you own the trademark. That same goes for the LLC. This is my PSA. Just because you own the LLC, that does not mean you own the trademark. Those are two different things. LLCs and trademarks are two different things. All right. The URL ownership is different from trademark. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, let's go back to our thing. So, so a basic, or even a basic USPTO. So you can go to the USPTO database, and you can start getting an idea if something is available or not. But there could be blind spots in doing that. And I kind of gave an example of that here on the slide where I have clear, like a phonetic, I might have said that wrong, phonetic spelling of clear and clear. Understanding those different ways of spelling things. If we're just talking about word marks, that still can kick the application back and be a likelihood of confusion. So what do we do for, I consider a full layer, and this is not comprehensive, but I mean, not full, but these are like the layers that we go through for a real clearance search. The full USPTO across classes. Also, that is another thing, maybe another workshop on another day would be about the classes, and that matters in your search too. State trademark. So every state has their own trademark registration. So you can have registrations in state databases that are not in a USPTO. Then you also have common law rights, and these are businesses that are unregistered. Just because you're not registered, remember I think in another YouTube or another video I talked about, and if I haven't, then I should, let me know if you want to know more about this, that you do still have rights even if you're not registered. Now it's limited to your geographic area, but you still have rights. And just because you have rights, that means other people have rights, and you need to understand that. And I say that's important because some people, I get the question of, then why should I just go ahead and trademark? Here's the thing, that if they have a brand, even if they haven't registered it, it may be a very strong brand. And if you're building a brand, do you want their brand, whatever, I guess, reputation, good or bad, that they built for their brand to transfer over to you? You want to provide some distinctiveness. That word will come up a lot. How are you distinct from other brands? And that is, one reason why that comes up. Domain names and social media handles. That matters too, because there are rights there. And then if there's corporate business names that are similar or registrations, those are important. Then trade, we talk about trade redress. So that is kind of like visually, it might be confusingly similar visually, or a logo may be similar because the trade redress can go be similar. Sorry, I don't know. I hope you guys can't hear the noise going on the other side of my door, but it is what it is. So let me know if you have any questions. Just drop that in. So again, we're still talking about the, I'm not sharing my screen. Okay. So we're still talking about the, this is the danger zone of what most business owners skip. And again, I go through like the illusion of safety, and just because the illusion of safety and versus the fortress of a search. You want to get past, especially that likelihood of confusion. That's the number one, like I said, the number one reason for um, people for that to, I'm sorry, for that to be lost is the likelihood of confusion. And I think, let me make sure I'm on the right slide here because it looks like my notes have gotten confused here. I think I'm on the wrong page. Let me go back. Okay, so this is just a visual what I just spoke about. So we talked about the criteria, the depth of search, databases check, the false negative, and the ultimate risk of not doing it. And went through, if you do a founder search, you need to just expand on that a lot more. Exact spelling only. This is what I see people do that are probably that don't do this every day, but you need to go deeper when you're doing those searches. Google domains, one-time USPTO search, all those things matter. We have to go through federal. You have to go through federal. Looking at different classes. Sometimes when we do the search, we do take into consideration the class that you file in, but there may be similar classes, especially if we find a mark that is very, very similar to yours. They might be in a different class, so it's worth evaluating whether or not you want to proceed, depending on how strong that other brand is and what they're doing. That's the reason why this happens. And sometimes that is a great opportunity, again, for the strategy call. So in the trademark service for Trademark Tuesday, you do have the opportunity for a strategy call with me. Why is that important? Because I get that too. Well, actually, the newest client that asked why is that important, that his brand is lending itself to being not necessarily descriptive, because it can be trademark, and it seems like through our search we're finding that there are brands that are similar, but having that conversation about how to, I wouldn't say necessarily rebrand, but adjusting the brand and the mark now before anything gets produced is going to be, I think, such a big weight off his shoulders, because he has not produced anything yet, or manufactured, maybe that's the better word, manufactured anything. So he has all the things and want to get this trademark done. That will save costs. But through our search, we're finding marks that are similar. So that will be during that strategy call, is again to identify what those are. So we have our baseline of what's out there. We have the brand, the client, our client that wants to trademark this is building a brand, but also what is that brand supposed to be all about, that we can make it more distinct, that to go beyond that. That is the real the real thing to do. And then also, one of the real benefits of having a comprehensive search when you do this is gives you some confidence that this will go forward, that you can, I think the confidence that it comes that you can still go out in the world while you're waiting for the trademark to be registered and finalized is so helpful in getting things in place. All right, so let's go to, I love this AI. I created I gave it the information that we were going to talk about today, and it created the visual. I kind of like it. Let me know what you think. So this is the brand ownership equation. This is the whole thing, the brand ownership equation. Your strategic distinctiveness with the clearance is true brand equity. Let's say that again. So strategic distinctiveness, including the RED framework. Now I say distinctiveness, but I'm also looking through the lens of the red framework. And then you have your clearance search. So you have your distinctiveness with your super great clearance search that you had Trademark Tuesday do for you. Then we have true brand equity. And equity is where we are building that intentional wealth through our intellectual property. That's the point of all these assets. And you'll hear me say asset a lot because the intellectual property is an asset for you to grow your business, build your business, and protect your brand and grow all the things. So that is that. Let's move on to, I think we got to our final step here. So this is what you need to do. You need to review your brand name for protectability, identify your biggest trademark risks right now, map out your next steps towards your brand ownership, yes, and then walk away from a good, clear action plan, not just information. If you don't know what that is, I invite you to book a call with me. So we have several different layers, including up to trademark registration. But sometimes before that, there's conversations that need to be had, and a focus strategy is important because I just don't go in filing trademarks unless I understand that my clients are clear on the strategy on how they're going to monetize it. I literally had a discovery call today, and the question was how the business owner wanted to protect her brand. And she had a lot of information, but what I did not was not clear on, and I think is she agreed, is a clear action plan on monetization and what those next steps towards ownership were. There were a lot of assets that she had, but I did not during the discovery call could identify the priority of that. So that's why we have to take a step back to either have a focus and we go through different, you can have a 30, 60, or a 90-minute session. The 90-minute one is actually the most, I might eliminate the middle one because the 90-minute session is what everybody's choosing. So I might just do that. Now that I think about it, we probably will adjust and be moving and getting maybe a half day with me or 3 hour or lunch. If you're here, maybe you can we can have lunch together. Would that be a good, I love a good meal. So I think that might be something, a private lunch. I might be on to something. Let me know if that would be, if you would like a private luncheon. Okay. So with that said, sometimes we have to take a step back and do the strategy before the trademark, even though we have strategy calls in the trademark session. They're slightly different because what we're doing now is before the trademark as far as prioritizing the monetization plan. Ultimately, it's all about how are we going to generate revenue from this? What is the plan to make this brand this relevant, exclusive, distinct, and how we're going to walk away with our action plan. So if you do want, I did not, let me see, I don't know if I can put it in the comments, but I will put it in the description on how to book a discovery call. And there, this is, I love this. Build your business, protect your brand, own everything. Yeah. Yes. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. If you're watching this after the live, then go ahead and drop them in the comments. You can always email right now, I'll put that in the comment, hello, email. I think I have it. Oh, it's on the slide here. The slide. You can email hello@mouldenlaw.com. And we will reply to any comments that you have if you want to email, or I can just send you some more information. All right, I think that is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.